Hi, I'm Mrs. Maywold. I'm going to be reading a story from your Making Decisions. You have access to the ebook in Benchmark of this. This is grade 3, unit 6, short read number 2. It's called The Three Spinsters by the Brothers Grimm. This story was written so long ago that there is some vocabulary in here that will sound very unfamiliar because these are words that we don't use in conversations today. So I'm going to point out those words for you and give you some definitions before I begin reading. So the first word is spin. You'll hear that there is a girl that is asked to spin flax. So spinning is when you take fibers like cotton or flax and run them through this spinning wheel to create thread for knitting, sewing, etc. Another word that might be unfamiliar is flax. Flax is a plant that's grown for its seeds, but in this case, it's also grown for its fibers because those fibers are good for creating thread. One more word that you will hear is treadle. Treadle is a foot operated pedal, and it's something that would be on a spinning wheel. The spinners would push this pedal down with their feet repeatedly to create the thread. Okay. Also, while we're reading this story, or while you're listening to this story, I want you to listen for problems. Throughout the story, different characters will have different problems. So I want you to have a light bulb moment when you hear that somebody is having a problem, and then listen for how they resolve that problem. All right, The Three Spinsters by the Brothers Grimm. There was once a girl who just would not spin. Her poor mother could not persuade her to work the wheel and to make thread. At last, the mother lost patience and screamed, "Ah!" She so scared the girl, she screamed too. "Ah!" At that moment, the queen passed by. She swept into the house and asked what the screaming was for. The woman was ashamed to tell of her daughter's poor spinning ability, so she said, "I cannot stop her from spinning. She spins and spins and spins some more. I am poor and cannot furnish her with enough flax." All right, so right here we notice that somebody has a problem, and that person is the mother. What is the mother's problem? Well, first, her problem is that she has a daughter that won't do something. What won't she do? But then she has the problem of the queen coming in and the shame that she experiences because of her daughter's refusal to spin. All right, listen on. The queen thought, then said, "My sons and I like nothing better than the sound of the spinning wheel. Let me take your daughter to my castle. I have plenty of flax. She shall spin to her satisfaction." At the castle, the queen showed the girl 3 rooms filled with the finest flax. "Now spin and spin, and when you have spun a ton," said the queen, "you shall marry my oldest son." The girl was thoroughly terrified. She could not have spun the flax even if she lived to be 100 years old. "Oh, why did my poor mother say I could spin?" she said, crying herself to sleep. When the queen returned, she saw no spinning had been done and was much surprised. The girl excused herself by saying she had not been able to spin because of her distress since leaving home. The queen accepted the excuse, then said, "Tomorrow, you must spin." Okay, who has the problem now? Now the problem belongs to the girl, right? She's expected to do something that she probably is not capable of doing. How will she resolve this problem? While staring out the window instead of spinning, the forlorn girl saw 3 women passing by. What fine spinners they must be, thought the girl. The first woman had a broad, flat foot. The second had a big underlip that hung down under her chin. And the third had a big, broad thumb. Hey there, called out the girl. The women stopped in front of the window. I'm up here spinning. Want to help? The 3 women smiled, for they indeed loved to spin. The women conferred and said, we will finish your spinning, but you must call us your cousins and invite us to your wedding. Done, cried the girl. Please spin now. The 3 spinsters sailed in and started spinning. The first drew out the thread and then moved the treadle that turned the wheel. The second moistened the thread, while the third twisted it. Then she rapped on the wheel, and a heap of finely spun flax fell to the floor. The 3 spinsters spun all day long. Heaps of flax filled 3 rooms. As the 3 spinsters took their leave, they said, do not forget your promise, cousin. When the queen and prince saw the huge mounds of spun flax, Her Majesty said, the wedding will commence in the morrow. The girl then said softly, I have one request. My 3 cousins have shown me such sweetness. I wish to invite them to the wedding. Oh, why, yes, yes, of course, said the queen. On the day of the wedding, in sauntered the 3 spinsters, delighted to be at the affair. Dear cousins, welcome, said the bride with a knowing nod and wink. How is it that my beautiful bride has such strange-looking relations? The prince wondered. Seeking an answer, he went up to the first cousin. How is it that you have such a broad, flat foot? He asked. With treading, answered she, with much treading. Then he asked the second, how is it that you have such a great hanging lip? With licking, answered she, with much licking. Then he asked the third, how is it that you have such a broad thumb? With twisting thread, answered she, with much twisting thread. Ah, cried the prince with delight, you are natural-born spinsters. Overjoyed by this discovery, he decreed that from that time forward, his bride should never spin a spinning wheel again. All right, so I want you to think about 3 different problems that you heard throughout the story and what the solutions to those problems were. Awesome. Have an awesome day. Thank you for reading with me, and I look forward to reading with you again.